This is a response. Everything's a response. Everything's a response or a contest around here lately. Duos. Duos. Mr. Kibler, Christopher Kibler did one, I believe, and the ones that I saw first this time around was Sherv's, Julius Jabbar did a great one on jazz duets. Now, oh, by the way, since we're talking about duos, I'm gonna play some music in the background, kind of funky music of Jimmy Smith. Now, this is not a duo. This is not a duo unless you consider a man and his organ a duo. Think about it. God, Jimmy Smith, the incredible Jimmy Smith got my mojo working on Verve. Okay, there's so many ways you can go. I can't do just jazz, and I'm not limited to give me 10. It's give me whatever the frig I got here. And I picked some jazz stuff, some international stuff, and some rock and roll and rock and soul stuff. And again, I didn't pick, in my case, I didn't pick records that just two people playing and that's it. You know, the Everly Brothers, you never really heard Don and Phil just singing alone. There's always a band behind them. There's always musicians behind them. So I'm broadening the thing, but basically these are albums from duos. Brothers, sisters, cousins, just duos. So let's just get into it. I'm gonna show these as one. Chad and Jeremy, the British Invasion, and Peter and Gordon. The reason I'm showing them together, because no one knows the fuck, they can't tell them apart anyway. You know, two Brit guys with Beatle haircuts, one with glasses, one without. One taller, one shorter. Peter Asher's in one of them. They're Peter Asher, you know, whose sister dated Paul McCartney, who later went on to produce Linda Ronstadt and James Taylor and yada, yada, yada. Did a lot of Leonard McCartney songs, World Without Love, Woman, Don't You Love Me, and the other one, Chad and Jeremy, same thing. Anyway, a lot of covers, but some originals. I think Summer Song, is that the one that's not on this record? But that was my favorite hit, Summer something. Anyway, I know them, but duo. One of the great duos of the 60s, I don't care what you say, is Sonny and friggin' Cher. Sonny and Cher. I mean, this record, I tell you, I Got You Babe is a perfect 60s pop record. Sonny Bono produced them, and he really kind of was influenced and worked with Phil Spector and from that Phil Spector sound. It's an amazing production. I mean, it's got, you know, it's got the Wrecking Crew all over this record. Oh my God, what a great, great record. Yeah, what can I say? You definitely know them, you know? I mean, The Beat Goes On is not on this record, but great set of singles in the 60s. They were never better solo than together, in my opinion. But love this record, sheepskin vest and all, right? That's like the coolest couple in Hollywood in 1965. 65, 66, those were great years for Sonny and Cher. No particular order, again, these aren't in order. I kind of grabbed them, so if, whatever you think. You know, The Tempestuous Life of Ike and Tina Turner. They're a great version of River Deep Mountain High. Was amazing. But this one, Working Together, the great version of Get Back on here. What a couple, produced by Ike Turner, an incredible producer, arranger. These two, this couple just burned it up. Yeah, not getting into the personal crap that they went through, but I mean, god damn. Whew. Let It Be, and their version of Proud Mary. If you haven't heard their version of Proud Mary, man, Creedence Clearwater, throw them out the window. Ike and Tina really made that such a friggin' great soul song. Sam and Dave, one of the great soul duets of the 60s. Also, Hold On I'm Coming, Soul Man. Again, what an amazing record. This is the best of Sam and Dave on Atlantic Records. Just a great team. Sam and Dave. Sonny, Terry, and Brownie McGee. I have some stuff on compact disc. This A&M record is great. This is a later record. This is probably like 1972, I'm thinking. Really great record, a little more folky. It's got a great version of the classic People Get Ready. I think I have so many versions of that. The Chambers Brothers, Sonny, Brownie, and Terry McGee, and others. But this is a good record on A&M. This is my copy. I'm not going to pull out. You don't need to see sleeves, right? Just want to hear about the music in this particular video. So there you go. Again, out of order, no particular order. Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli. I mean, an amazing jazz team. A hot club of France and Paris. That kind of cabaret, jazzy, gypsy guitar playing of Django Reinhardt and a great violin playing of Stefan Grappelli. I have a bunch of their records together. Later, Stefan Grappelli made some great duets, I think with Yehudi Menuhin and a few other artists on Angel Records. But you all need a Stefan Grappelli and Django Reinhardt album in your collection. It's just beautiful music, you know, vintage but gorgeous. One of the greatest guitar players ever. Speaking about Yehudi Menuhin, and this is an incredible record, East Meets West, West Meets East. Yehudi Menuhin and Ravi Shankar. I'm a big Ravi Shankar fan, love Indian music, have been since George Harrison turned me on to it. Since he played guitar, not greatly, but on Rubber Soul, and saw Ravi Shankar about 5 times until he died, up until his death. But this is great classical record on Angel Records, which Angel's the classical offshoot of Capitol in America. This came out, I'm thinking, in the late 60s or 1970. The notes were 1966. Maybe it is that early. I don't think it was that early. But anyway, I think they made a second volume of this, as I recall, and I used to have it, but this is really great. Beautiful record. Classical. I mean, when you think Indian music, I mean, Indian sitar music by Ravi Shankar, he's a classical Indian artist. Really great. Mixing it up, John Coltrane, Kenny Burrell. Again, obviously you have other people on here, but when it's billed as a duo, I'm calling it a duo. This is a late 80s original jazz classics of fantasy record. And it's a beautiful record. It's got Kenny Burrell on guitar, and of course tenor saxophone is the great John Coltrane. Gorgeous modern art cover as well. So I'm going with this on here too. You know, I'm gonna pull at the end 2 CDs, and I'm going a little, maybe I'll grab them right now after this one, but Bing and Satchmo. Bing Crosby, whatever you think of him, great vocal artist. With Satchmo, great horn player, great singer, probably one of the greatest jazz musicians ever in the history of the world. This is a cool record too. But I'll throw this in here while I'm talking about Satchmo. You can't talk about Satchmo without doing the great duets that Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong made. The Songbook Series. This is a overview CD of all of them, I believe, on Verve. They're all their collaborations on Verve. I could also have brought in, and I didn't, Ella Fitzgerald and Duke Ellington. I mean, that's great stuff too. So Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, and you got the white guy, Bing Crosby, great singer. A couple Gerry Mulligan collaborations I'll show together. We got Monk and Mulligan, Monk and Mulligan. Tongue twister, Mazzy. This is on Riverside Records. Again, this is an OJC as well, a promo copy, which came out in the late 80s, this version, but this is the original, I believe is from the 60s, late 60s. Don't know the date actually on here, but really great record. And this is a friggin' amazing record. The great Ben Webster, sax player with Gerry Mulligan. So this is analog production, so this is an audiophile record. If you see this record still, I think it's still in print, but it's an amazing jazz record and a great duet. So Gerry Mulligan with meets Monk and Ben Webster. Separate, together. And Cher wanted me to show this again. I showed this in, I think, my solo, or one of my solo artists, and it wasn't really a solo artist, but the great Joe Pass and Oscar Peterson, Pablo Records, which was a Norman Granz label, after Verve, all their black and white covers, great later recordings, late 70s mostly, into the early 80s possibly. But this is a cool record, very minimal. You know, Oscar Peterson, some jazz fanatics think he's a little too safe and too melodic, and but amazing, amazing piano player. I love him. He's not as driven as someone like McCoy Tyner, who's I saw McCoy Tyner twice in the 70s at the Keystone Corn, the great jazz club in San Francisco. And I used to refer to him as the Led Zeppelin of piano playing, because he's always so friggin' hard the way he plays, McCoy Tyner. But totally opposite, a different take on everything, but this is a really cool record. Oscar Peterson's playing clavichord on here, so that's really interesting. Okay, now we're gonna go in a little different direction again. They Might Be Giants. This is probably my favorite They Might Be Giants album from 1990, I believe, or 91, 1990. Their first major label on Elektra Records, Flood. Perfect record. And what I love about this record, it's the two Johns, John Flansburgh and John Linnell. They started out just playing together locally, guitar, keyboards, accordion. They pretty much did everything for so many years, except when they started touring, they brought in a third or fourth person, depending on the tour. They were one of the first that did dial-a-song, and almost every day or every week, as I recall, they're based out of New York or Brooklyn. You dial in and get a new song. This is before the internet and everything. But I've seen them 4 or 5 times. I brought my son to see them. My son fell in love with this record. I used to play it in the car. He was born the year this came out. And this is a beautiful record and a great pop record. Very funny, very ingenious. They have great arrangements and very intricate structures of things for a pop group. And they've done a lot of children's records too. But the two Johns and They Might Be Giants. I'm sticking them in this great video of duos. Now, I would say probably the greatest rock, pop, country type duo of all time. Brothers hating each other, brothers singing together, have to be the Everly Brothers, Don and Phil. I wish I saw the Everly Brothers, I didn't. Little trivia, for years on the road, Warren Zevon was their arranger and piano player when they would tour in the late 60s, early 70s with the Everly Brothers. That's why I think it was Phil Everly sings on the first Warren Zevon album. But this is their more country roots album. Great record. It's got Shady Grove, traditional song, T for Texas, so more of a cowboy take on it, more of a country take on it. Gone, 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 a great song that, another duet album I didn't bring was, I don't have it on vinyl, but is the amazing record that came out with Robert Plant, Alison Krauss, and they cover Gone, Gone, Gone on that album. Great record. Anything get by Everly's. I have about 5 or 6 of their albums on vinyl. It's a great CD box set, which is wonderful, but they're one of my all-time favorites, and obviously big influences on the Brit bands, especially the Beatles. Lennon and McCartney were big Everly Brothers fan. So, I mean, to me, one of the most important duos of all time are the Everly Brothers. Richard and Linda Thompson, and this record especially, Shoot Out the Lights. Oh man, Wall of Death, Shoot Out the Lights, Did She Jump or Was She Pushed? This is a record that everyone needs in their collection if you're into folk rock, rootsy, British. Unfortunately, they got divorced and they did several collaborations. Both obviously artists have gone on and have done amazing records on their own. But Richard and Linda Thompson, this is an incredible record. Shoot Out the Lights. This is my Island, Hannibal Records, from 1982. One of the great duets of the last, 10, 15 years. Black Keys, El Camino. Those guys, rock, guitar, bluesy guitar, and drums. Swampy, bluesy, soulful, rock and roll. I mean, these guys, this was produced by Danger Mouse, this one. This is my favorite album of theirs by far. This was the 45 RPM record store day from, was it 8-9 years ago? And it's an amazing version of this record. Their best record from my point of view. It's just catchy and it just rocks. It's put this on your record player and blast it, and it's an amazing record. But Black Keys are a great duo. I saw them live just once and they didn't disappoint. Hall & Oates. This is my favorite. This is their first record. It got some cult status because of She's Gone, which I think is an amazing thing. I think it's a great record. I know when they went to RCA and they did all their hits, they were more popular. I did see them once at Winterland in San Francisco in the 76, 77 period when they were really hot. And I love that. And I no longer, unfortunately, got rid of most of their RCA records during the big Mazzy vinyl purge of 94, 95. I don't have the appropriate album here, but come on, Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra. This is Movin' with Nancy, soundtrack from her TV special, and Dean Martin's on it, Lee Hazelwood. But there is a Lee Hazelwood, Nancy Sinatra album that I need to get. But the songs, their version of Jackson, which I'll talk about in a minute, but Some Velvet Morning, one of the great, perfect, out there, catchy psych pop classics of the 1960s. And he also produced These Boots Are Made for Walking. I believe he wrote it for Nancy. So I got to say Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra, one of the great, you don't think of always them together. Most people like Sonny and Cher or Hall & Oates, you don't think of Nancy and Lee Hazelwood, but they're important from the 60s in my opinion. I'm really switching up these genres and time periods. So, Flatt and Scruggs, the great Flatt and Scruggs, Lester Flatt, and is it Earl Scruggs? Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt. Foggy Mountain Breakdown, the Ballad of Jed Clampett, the theme from Oil, that is Black Gold, the theme from Beverly Hillbillies. Wabash Cannonball, Orange Blossom Special. You can't talk bluegrass without talking about Flatt and Scruggs. If you want to know more about this kind of music, I've done a couple of videos, but not so much as someone like Elliot Cruz. He's really into this whole thing, knows a lot about it, and he's done some elongated videos of this type of stuff, a duo. So one of the great, probably the great bluegrass duo ever, Flatt and Scruggs. Coming back into 80s now again. Man, I'm really shaking this up. Everything But the Girl. Everything But the Girl. Their first few albums especially. But they kind of did this kind of soulful English thing with a little like hip hop later. And it's Tracy Thorn and Ben Watt. Her voice is amazing, but their voices together, but they're very minimal in their production. And, oh God, this is great stuff. I mean, their cover on here of Kid, which is a Pretender song, is amazing. They got a little electronica a little later on and everything, but these first two albums, this one and the one with the very 50s avant-garde record cover, I didn't pull it out, but Everything But the Girl, Love Not Money, on Sire Records, an amazing duo, in my opinion, Everything But the Girl. Tracy and Ben. You know, I should have put these in order, but I didn't because with the Flatt and Scruggs early in the country genre and everything, you can't talk about it without talking about the Louvin Brothers. This is In the Light in the Attic. This is an amazing comp. If you see it, pick it up because it's all original. It's all their songs by the Louvin Brothers, but it's chosen by other artists. So it's curated by people like Mark Lanigan, Graham Nash, Beck, Emmylou Harris, Will Oldham, Lucinda Williams, Chris Christopherson, Devanda Banhart, Chris Hillman, Dolly Parton, M. Ward, the Black Angels, and Zooey Deschanel. Hey, but it's their songs. So it's a great, great comp of their music on Light in the Attic. So you'll get a good pressing. Their earlier albums are really, really hard to find in good shape. But the Louvin Brothers, another great duo in the history of recorded music. And that's what this is about, duos in the history of recorded music. Okay, any chance I get, most of you keep ignoring me, but Laloo, Australian, New Zealand, is an Australian duo on Sub Pop. They have 3 albums on Sub Pop. I saw them last year in Seattle. This record is so beautiful. It's low-key, minimal, and any time I get a chance to shove this record in to tell you people to listen to it, you know, if you want something big and dancey and boppy, you ain't gonna get it here. But beautiful record, Laloo, and it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Zoe Randall and Steve Hassett, Laloo. And this record is called Sculptor. This is their latest. It's been out about 1.5 years now, I believe. And it was one of my top albums of that year. And I'm going to end up one CD and one record. CD, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Johnny Cash and June Carter. They didn't do a lot of albums under their names together, but, and of course, it's a little dated because it says Johnny Cash and his woman. But talk about a love that lasts forever. The way they sang, Jackson's not on this record, but City of New Orleans is on here. It's probably another one I should have pulled maybe instead, but Jackson's the one that we all know that Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra covered as well. But love this stuff. Amazing. I saw them once. Saw them at the Fillmore 20 years ago, possibly, with his duo, with his backup, guitar, double bass, and June Carter played on and off with him. Amazing stuff. And she's on the expanded stuff, as you know, of the Prison records too. I'm going to end with probably the most successful duo of all time and my favorite record of theirs. Can't talk about a duo without talking about Simon and Garfunkel. I know a lot of people, maybe Bridge Over Troubled Water, I know was their biggest selling record, their biggest hit, and I love it. But this album to me is a perfect record, 1968. Wrecking Crew again is all over it, but it's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. Folky with a modern take to a little kind of psych elements here and there, but amazing songs. So that's duos and a response. Keep your duos coming. Shake it up a little bit. We all kind of do our version of it. Thanks, Mazzy loves you all, and we'll see you when we add three people in the next ones. Who knows? Trios, oh, that's what they call it, trios. After 2 is trios. Solo, duos, trios. And then quartets, I'll just show my Beatle records. Take care.